Can we have the video, please? We will move on to the next part of the morning session, starting with a movie clip.
Can we have the lights back? Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Suraj Bhagde, an ophthalmologist from Bhaktivedanta Hospital and Research Institute. As we have seen from this video clip, there was a time when we had to choose between morality and ethics on one hand and wealth and prosperity on the other. But can we have the best of both the worlds? Our next speaker, Dr. Suhas Haldipulkar, is going to solve this dilemma for all of us. Sir, we invite you to the dais, so please come. Dr. Suhas Haldipulkar is a very reputed name and a man of international fame in the field of ophthalmology. Sir is the founder director of Lakshmi Eye Institute in Panvel. He is one of the earliest practitioners of phacoemulsification in the country and an excellent teacher at that. His surgical videos are a delight to watch and very educative and popular amongst young professionals. He is a self-made man, with his institute being the oldest and largest NGO in the field of eye care in Raigad district and surrounding areas. Sir, yours is amongst the first few names that came to our mind when we thought about the speaker for this topic. We are very glad that you have accepted to speak on this topic today. Over to you, sir, please.
Respected organizing committee, Dr. Sanke, Dr. Bhagde, and all the great medical faculty that's sitting here, some of whom even I consider as my icons of this city. It's indeed a great privilege and an honor to be standing here among this august audience and to speak on a topic. Can our profession possibly be lucrative while keeping ourselves away in the sea of ever-increasing unethical temptations? Well, my answer is yes and no. It's indeed an uphill task when you really have to stick to letter and spirit of each word that's mentioned here. Well, if you look at the medical dictionary, the ethical medical practice, it refers to moral principles that govern the behavior and interactions in medical practice. And the word lucrative, it deals with reaping great profit. Friends, I don't have to stand here to tell you that individually both the things are easily achievable. But the combination is definitely something that you have to really work at. Or maybe you have to redefine each word. Friends, all of us as medical students, before we pass out, we do read this. And we also believe at that time that, well, this is an outdated thing. Why are we reading it? And with so much of use that we are into today, that for everything we need a weekly update, we feel, why don't they update this oath? You know, it says, among many things, in fact, it is said, Hippocratic, he probably was not one person who wrote all these. There were a group of writers who wrote, and it's his name that we talk about. He says, I swear by Apollo physician and the gods and goddesses, making them my witness, that I will apply the treatment, that could be various modalities of treatment, for the benefit of the sick according to my ability and judgment. But he also says, and he was very clear, that subject of how money affects clinical practice, and it obviously was, it corrupts it. And then several centuries later, the Roman physician very clearly put it. He says the best clinical decisions are taken when anxieties over money are taken out of doctor-patient relationship. So it is also heartening to know that the money did cause problems even so many centuries before. It is just that we are more innovative now in the last 15, 20 years when we have different names of co-management and referral fees and whatnot, which probably didn't exist at that time. And it says that doctors shouldn't be asked to double as business people, obliged to practice medicine with one eye on balance sheet. And some of us probably have both the eyes on balance sheet. And that's the malady of today. This is something I clearly remember. One of my teachers when I was postgraduate, he was an enlightened teacher spiritually. He said, and it's very strange and true, and all of us believe so. Like I'm an ophthalmologist, he was an ophthalmologist, so obviously it was related to my field. When a patient walks into your clinic and has a cataract that needs surgery, are you not secretly happy? Yes, all of us are. You know, that's adding to your kitty. If so, he said, then you have a long way to go. When he said you have a long way to go, he was talking spiritually. Now imagine, health is a service sector. And even hotel industry is also a service sector. But here, you are rejoicing at the expense of someone's agony. You know, this makes all the difference. You go to the hotel because you're in a different mood, you have come there to enjoy, and they have to serve you, they have to, provide all the comfort. But it's so much different in our field. Friends, any business, any practice, any venture that we start will have some purpose and some motive. And the purpose or motive could be name and fame to some, it could be passion, it could be peer pressure, it could be natural course. Like natural course meaning your father is a doctor, your grandfather is a doctor, you have an established clinic, and you don't have to think that you're anyway going to be a doctor. Or it could be a mission. Now we have, the entire thing is organized by Bhaktivedanta, and I know how, with missionary zeal, these doctors and the staff, because since I know about it, this hospital very closely, it's amazing to see. What I feel is, all of us should at least spend some time, send our residents at their formative years to such places to learn, how a medical practice has to be really conducted. Then we have service and money. I remember in the earlier days, the service, the mission, or the passion were the main reasons why someone became a doctor. And gradually things went on changing, and today the money is also an integral part, and sometimes it's the main part for us to become doctor, which is sadly not true. If you talk about name and fame for which if someone wants to become a doctor, it's the surest outcome of ethical practice, and that is fame. If you do an ethical practice, nothing will stop you from becoming famous. And the obvious outcome of fame has to be profit, because you're not doing it for no profit. Those looking for quick fame are cutting corners. And in today's breed, what you see is we have lost patience. We want everything to happen fast. But the ancient wisdom tells us that nothing will happen before its time has come. Nothing. You have to wait. You look at the nature, anything that you see, even a simple, you sow a seed and the plant grows, it takes its own time. You can't literally hurry through. In this context, I remember, one of my colleague, a freshly trained out graduate, postgraduate. He was a junior consultant with me. At the end of 1 year, when we had appraisal for him, he came with a beautiful presentation, like a corporate style presentation, and he had titled it Better Than the Best. And for the next 10 minutes in the appraisal, where all the management, senior management people are sitting, and he's not even half my age, he made a beautiful presentation, really beautiful. At the end of that, he said, "Sir, since I am better than the best, I need to be treated so. I need to get a rise which should be much better than the rest." I'm amazed at the courage, conviction, and the confidence with which this guy is talking. In fact, I have still not come out of that shock. That is the kind of breed. And these are the people who are going to go high places. Because for them, they have only one goal. It's a human relations just doesn't exist. And that is all that we really need to bring back, because here we are dealing with people, and where in your interaction, the doctor-patient relationship, where you spend time with them, is all that matters. In fact, in my field, if I take 15 minutes to do an operation, and when someone who really wants to multiply or do larger number of surgeries, he would look at you and say, "Come on, doc, I do in 5 minutes." For him, it's like a factory. For someone, it could be, he just enjoys doing it. For someone, it's the comfort of that patient is all the time there at the back of his mind. So that means you have different reasons to do different things. Finally, what's your reason decides. Many among us as young professionals start our career with lots of ideals, lots of, we have seen our seniors, we are so much influenced, and we say it could be a doctor, it could be an engineer, it could be a police officer, or even it could be an income tax officer. When they start with great promise to themselves. And what's the promise? Well, I see so much of corruption and things around, I want to make a difference. And they start. And quickly, after they see the reality, it just fades away. It's so disheartening to see this. This is all because of the value system that you have in yourself. Stronger the values that you have in you, you would not really do it. It is said, if you stand for nothing, you will easily fall for anything. So this is so very important in everyone's life. I'm sure many of you must have heard of a story of an elderly lawyer, where his son, as a fresh law graduate, comes and joins him. He sends him for the first time to the court saying, "Just go and handle those 3 cases and come." In the evening, the son comes back happy, rejoicing. He says, "Dad, I cleared off all the 3 cases." He says, "You fool, they were responsible for your education. And they are going to be responsible for your sister's marriage. Now you have put me into problem." These are the values we put into our children, and it's obvious that those are the values they grow up with. To serve used to be the main factor when we took up this profession. Till 60s and 70s, many took up medical profession because many among us were inspired either after meeting somebody or after reading a book, or very often it was the family doctor. Now, family doctor concept was so beautiful. I personally was so much influenced by my family doctor. The way he would come, the way he would get respect in the house, in the society. They were responsible, many of us. But today, 2 distinct changes have happened. One, the family doctor concept has diluted, and the choice to choose your career is influenced by more revenue, less hassle, no emergency, and no indoor admissions. Now, these purely guide which path you're going to take once you decide to become a medical professional. And of course, radiology is a classic example. Of course, no offense is meant. 10 years back, 12 years back, radiology was not the top branch people opted for. And understandably so, because today that's the most happening place with interventional radiology. There's so much with scans and MRIs, and there's so much happening. And the same is the case with the dermatology. With surface treatment, Botox and lasers, that's a happening thing. And plus, there's no hassle, there's no emergency, there's no admission. And that's how people are opting for those branches. So it all depends on, what exactly you want to be. And finally, money is one factor for which this 5-letter word, it evokes varying response from people. To some, it's the whole universe, while to others, it has a limited role and importance. Very few people realize that money has better use when it is spent on upliftment of people, the downtrodden. Because we should remember, all of us sitting in this hall, we are extremely small percentage of the entire world. We are the chosen few people. And it becomes our duty to share the extra with the people who do not have. And you just have to look beyond to see where the people who are less privileged are. And as a doctor, in fact, it becomes all the more reason. But of course, things have changed. The practice itself has changed. It's more investigation-based today than clinical that used to be in the past. It is fast becoming an evidence-based medical practice. And unfortunately, when you start investing into a business like medical profession, because investigations require you to own equipment. So medical practice has changed into a business module, and medical service and patients are looked at as commodity and client. And with corporates entering in, the circle is complete. I can relate to you an experience I had. Some years back, one of my relations was admitted in a hospital with a dissecting aorta. He was shifted from one hospital to another hospital. And finally, in the evening, the big doctor arrives with his entourage of residents. He just looks at the reports, He says, "Young man, we'll fix it tomorrow." And then he just talks and he walks out. I'm sitting there, I'm watching all this. And then I'm wondering, where is this doctor-patient relationship? And that too, he's handling this procedure, which has very high mortality rate, in such casual manner. Now, to that level has this noble profession come down. I can tell you a small little story of mine. 35 years back, I started practice in a small town called Panvel, which had only a few doctors and 1 or 2 consultants who were also kind of glorified general practitioners. And the only entertainment at the time was to meet these senior colleagues and listen to their old-time stories. And I tell you, my friends, some of you who have never spent time with the rural population or rural doctor will never know what pleasure it was. They would tell us about all the stories where, sometimes they would have to walk for a couple of hours in the deep jungles to the remote villages. Sometimes in the rainy season, they had to go by the boat just to, there's a woman who's pregnant and obstetric labor and, whatnot. And if it was a labor, they would probably sit the whole day till it's delivered. What they would come back with? Nothing. It's just a satisfaction that I really saved a life. That kind of stories, and with complete satisfaction, they would say. And, I knew that world was totally changed for us. Because, that's of yesterday. And I'm sure all the doctors who practiced in those days, that was some kind of service they rendered to the society. And that was pure satisfaction. But then I knew I was already late, but for that kind of practice, and the nearest that I could do was I could begin a section for these people and maybe derive, if not that much, at least part of that satisfaction that I was also, doing something for these people. Well, friends, if you ask me and we come back to the original question, the lucrative practice, well, yes, I have one. To head an organization with 150 people working as staff and 15 consultants as your esteemed colleagues, and to be the largest NGO in our district is being lucrative, then I have one. To be invited to several meets across the country, to perform live surgeries and deliver talks is being lucrative, then I have one. To be loved by several ophthalmic friends all over the country is being lucrative, I have one. But if you're talking about having enough money that stinks, well, I'll have to really work hard. So in conclusion, I would like to say, yes, the practice can be both ethical and lucrative if you can redefine the words. And your patients who are not your clients, but your partners in your mission to serve will shower upon you plenty of love and gratefulness to help you become the richest person in your area and the city. Thank you so much.
Hello. Thank you, sir. Thank you for so beautifully dissecting the topic, which actually only a fine microsurgeon like your good self can do. We are just in time for one short little question for you, sir. Yeah. Nowadays, it is considered that to some extent for the teachers and to some extent for the soldiers also, but to a large extent for the doctors, that they are expected to work hard as a matter of their duty, but they are expected not to demand more money, which they feel they deserve. So the question is, whatever fees that one may have set for oneself, are the doctors entitled to that fees? What is your opinion on this?
Now, I think I can. Your question is, you said the first question was, why are we not entitled?
People think that the doctor charges too much. So, can the doctor charge a hefty price? If the
Well, I mean, I would like to go back to before we become doctor. It all depends on what forced you to become a doctor. Was it the money factor that was driving you to become, or it was the sense of service? See, we call it a noble profession. But if you have already decided to make money by becoming a doctor, then probably your foundation is faulty. And I do not agree with you that doctors do not charge. It's like, show your excellence and the world will pay you. But our country is so varied. You have a poor patient, you have a middle class, and you have a rich. You have to decide in which direction you are going. If you want to be a doctor to the elite class, then obviously you are dealing with them where money is not a problem. So I'm sure many doctors would say that if I charge less, sometimes they think probably I'm not the best. Meaning it's all human psyche. So how do you satisfy yourself? You be available to all of them. Maybe you cannot do it in one setup. You can do it in two setups. Like I run 2 hospitals just next to each other. One where people pay in one people don't pay or pay nominal. Again, the place where they pay is not a posh one. So maybe someone who's thinking rich probably would not like to say, I mean, sometimes they know probably this place is good to go to, but the place, when I sit, someone next to me is, an ordinary guy. So it all depends on what do you actually want or how do you project. But it's again, show your excellence and world will pay you. There are people who want to pay, but they're looking for a better doctor.
Thank you so much, sir. I think the message has beautifully been passed across. We would like to show our gratitude to you, sir, with a small memento.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suraj, for moderating this wonderful session. Small token for you. Thanks.